Welcome back, everyone, to Austin News at Noon. Parents are talking about this issue, and some are angry, basically, at the possibility of several AISD schools closing. Monday, the district task force suggested closing 8 elementary schools and 1 middle school. So we invited members of that task force here on Austin News at Noon to talk about this, because so many parents out there are talking about this right now. And frankly, a lot of parents are upset, angry about the situation, the possibility of these schools closing. And one question that we're getting a lot from our viewers is, how did you come to the conclusion of these schools, the possibility of closing these schools?
It's been a very long and thorough process and a difficult one. We established 6 criteria as a task force that we evaluated 94 different options. And we've tried to look everywhere we possibly can. I mean, the district is facing unprecedented budget pressures, and so we're trying to make sure that the facilities are efficient as possible, and that we'd rather invest in the strategic plan than in buildings and kids and not schools.
All right, Janet, thank you. Janet Mitchell, one of the co-chairs here. Richard, is there a checklist that you go through when you look at these schools? How do you determine whether these schools are on the chopping block?
Well, I don't know if chopping block's the word. We did a lot of studies. We did actually 3 different studies that we take data from. The most recent one was last summer to show exactly what the condition of the school was in, to show the demographics of the area where the school is being set, how many students actually live in that area. Is it full? Is it not full? Where is it in terms of condition, in terms of FCI, which is the condition of the school compared to building a new one just like it? And when you put that together, some schools pop out at you as being schools that we're more likely to look at. And then we took those schools, took the population of the area, and tried to figure out how we could create options that would be more efficient for the utilization of the schools and also cost saving.
One thing that struck me when I look at the list of the possible closures are many of those schools are exemplary. And that, I think, shocked a lot of parents when they look at that list and they think, well, my kid goes to that school and they have great teachers and they're doing such a great job. Why in the world would they think about closing that school?
The simplest, all of the schools that you're talking about, a lot of the schools that we're talking about are exemplary. The idea is you have to have more space for students. You have to have a better... We can't afford to keep all the schools that we have open right now. So you take a school that's exemplary with an outstanding faculty and great parent support, you combine it with another school has outstanding faculty and great parent support. The best guess that we have, and it's not a guess, it's I think a fair assumption, is that will continue. But as part of the process, we really weren't looking, because we couldn't come up with a fair way to look at schools and consider the academic portion of it. We considered the effect on the community, which all of them have an effect on all their communities, but we're looking at the community and in part, as Janet put it earlier today when we were talking about this, as opposed to neighborhoods, because right now, with the economic situation we have and the student population we have, the neighborhood concept is not, in parts of town, we have too few students to justify having a school open.
Well, then, if you do decide to close some of those schools, what do you do with the teachers in those schools?
They would stay district employees and track to the new school.
And the transportation issue, though, that would become another situation.
That's been considered.
Okay.
In every area, you know, we have a 2-mile radius that we try to consider in saving in walking distances and bus transportation. Paul's department of facilities has looked at all of those, and we've got projections. They're not necessarily perfect, but they're as close as we can get right now given the data we have.
What can you talk about that on?
Absolutely. As we studied that, we were not only looking at the primary consideration, of course, Sally, is safety.
Right.
We have to make sure that the children are safe, and in some cases, if they're having to cross major roadways, there is a policy in the district to look at hazardous conditions to provide the additional transportation if that's necessary. For students who are nearby and within 2 miles, we have crossing guards and that kind of thing to assist. We work closely with the Child Safety Department down at the City of Austin to make sure that those kinds of things are taken into account. And every day of the year, we're dealing with questions and dealing with anything that comes up related to safety as a high priority.
Right. And Janet, Richard, and Paul, you are still dealing with a lot of questions that hopefully will get answered tonight with it, because this is very much a discussion that everyone is invited to.
Tonight it's more input. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can, but we're looking also, so people will understand this, we're looking for additional options. If they have an idea that they think would be a better one than we have, or a variation on the idea that we have, we're still looking at that. We're looking at input from them about what we have presented as options.
Is the bottom line that some schools will have to close?
Given the current economic scenario, given the current situation with the legislature, I think that's accurate.
Okay.
What we were charged with doing is looking from a facilities perspective. How can we move the fewest students while achieving the most operational efficiency and save the district money?
Yeah.
That's just one piece of a very complex discussion that we need to engage the community in. But our charge is to look at it from a facilities perspective.
Okay, you could definitely give your feedback tonight, as we've been discussing over at the Delco Center. That's from 6 o'clock this evening until 8 o'clock. It's at 4601 Pecan Brook Drive. All of this information is on our website at KXAN.com. The thing is that you have a lot of parents who are speaking out and want the best for their children.
Absolutely.
I think that's the bottom line for everyone. Right.
As we do.
Okay, thank you so much all for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you
right
very
back.
much.